All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you didn't miss me too long. Again, you are listening to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM 102 Jams and 102jams.com. Forgive me, got to make sure we get that right. Again, just want to make sure, download the app if you have an Android. Download the app. You have to type it in exactly how I say it, WJHM102jams.com if you have an Android. Again, Apple phone users, iPhone users, I'm sorry, you have to go through your browser. Speak to your phone company about that. But anyway, we are back with Pastor Jerry Q. Parris, of course, the author and of The Making of a Blended Family. Go ahead and pick that up right now, please, right now. And also the pastor of Christian Family Worship Center. Again, when we left you off with the, we were going to talk about disciplining of the children. Particularly physical discipline of the children when it comes to a blended family. Now, I know that's one of the hot topic, and some people are just like, no, and the bonus parent is not allowed to touch my child and anything of that nature. But how do you think is the best way to handle discipline when it comes to a blended family?
Wow, this is probably one of the most crucial parts of a blended family is when the child needs to be disciplined. Who should do the discipline in a blended family? I am. My experience, my everything that I know, the discipline should be given by the biological parent. The bonus parent can re-emphasize and support, but the actual discipline should come from the biological parent. Here's a couple examples, because this is really huge and important. Let's say, for instance, if the dishes have to be washed, mm-hmm. and you're the biological parent, and you already have some tension in the house,
right.
Okay? When you go to that child who is not your biological daughter or son, and you say to them, go in there and wash the dishes, what is that child going to say to you? What's the famous line? You are not my mother. You are not my father. Yeah. Now, what do you have to do? You now have to respond to that, which will escalate into something. I talk about in the book, when you respond to that and you put your hands on another man's child who don't like you anyway, you've just invited. This is all they've been waiting on. How dare you touch my child?
Right.
So that's the reason why it can go in so many different bad directions. So what happens is the biological parent says, even if they're work, hey, at 8 o'clock, I want you to wash the dishes. Now the bonus parent can say these magical words, didn't your mother say, wash the dishes?
Right.
Now the directive did not come from you. It came from the biological parent. And when it comes from the biological parent, then the child is apt to do it because they can't argue with their biological mother or father. But whenever you, as a parent, says to them, do something, then that's where the problem comes in. Now, if you're raising this child since the day it was born,
mm-hmm.
that's a little different. I'm talking about depending on what the ages are.
Right.
You're coming into somebody's life when they're 7, 8, 9, teenager.
That's a little tough.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
So, and I did not follow that rule. This is how I learned that rule. I did not follow that rule. I actually disciplined my biological daughter, and her father, who was much bigger than me, had a lot more muscles than me, was on his way to New Orleans to confront me. And I realized from that particular incident that I handled it the wrong way. And it put a wedge in me and my daughter's relationship for many years. And so you cannot touch, or you should not touch, my advice as a counselor and as a pastor is that you should not put your hands on someone else's child. If the child does something, then you got to go to the biological parent. You all discuss it out of their presence, and then you all come back with the united front of what the discipline would be, taking away the phone or taking away the PlayStation, whatever that is. But that directive and order should come from the biological parent.
Now, I'm glad you said that and explained it that way. Now, I do have another question. Because I know there are certain instances where the one or maybe both of the biological parents give the okay for the bonus parent to discipline, give physical discipline, a spanking for lack of a better, or a whooping in our terms. Is it? Do you still feel it's okay in that regard if the biological parents say it's okay for you to whip my child?
No, 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 and no again. Here's why. When you're trying to win over your family, your blended family, your bonus children have given you rented space in their heart. Rented space. You don't have ownership. They rented you some space. When you treat them or discipline them, they will evict you out of their heart, even though they have to respect you. I never forget my daughter who said to her mother when I disciplined her, she looked at her mother, and it was a knife to my heart. She looked at my mother and said, "You chose him, not me. That's not who I wanted in my life. That's who you wanted in your life." And from that moment, I was evicted from my daughter's heart. And guess when I was evicted from my daughter's heart, then I also lost a little of my wife's heart, because you cannot not love someone's children or child and expect them to maintain love for you. So it's just a bad thing to do. It can go so many different ways. So why not just allow the biological parent to handle it, and you step in and support the biological parent so that you can continue to remain an owner in that child's heart. You don't want to be evicted out of the heart. It destroys the blended family. And most people, you can't come with this syndrome. I'm the man of the house, and what I say go. That does not work very well in a blended family. Again, they can't go anywhere. They're children, but they will evict you out of their heart. And when they get older, you will not have the kind of relationship that you desire to have with them.
Okay. Now, in regards for people,
my opinion, I wanted to throw that in there. My opinion.
Now, in regards for, let's say, like for those people who already gone through or currently already going through that situation right now, how were you able to enter back into her heart as her her father figure, and how long did that take you? Wow,
she actually writes the foreword in my book, and in the foreword in my book, it says suddenly I got to read this. It's only a paragraph. It's only a paragraph, but this is worth reading. It said, "Suddenly in the summer of 1993, we were a blended family. Jerry Q. Perry's moved in, and Jason and Justin were coming up for the summer. We had just left my childhood home and moved into a 3-bedroom apartment in another city, away from my friends' parents. We were getting a divorce, and bam, now I have 2 brothers and a new dad. Forming that into a sentence today pretty much sums up my attitude about the whole thing. I was angry, confused, and shocked, and I showed it towards my new family. I spent about 7 years being mean and hateful, 7 years of being disrespectful. But despite all of that, you always loved me. You were always kind, and still took my hateful self on vacation. This blended family wasn't by far easy, and it took over 10 years for me to claim you as my father and to love you as such." Wow. It takes a lot of patience, time, and love to win back a child whose heart you have broken.
Now, in regards for that,
and you need to be able to, and you need to do the work.
Absolutely.
You need to do the work. You need to do the work. Do not look at a child and say, "Oh, that's a child. You do what you got." You need to do the work. They deserve the work, because you have invaded their lives,
right? And
they deserve the work.
And was that just as long to repair the relationship you had with her father as well after that particular incident?
No, it didn't take as long to repair that, because in the instance of that, his family came to my rescue because the incident, they felt at that moment that my daughter might not have been in the right in this particular
Right.
instance.
Right.
And so his mother and his sisters all rallied around and made it a little bit, hey, let's look at this. You know, this was out of line kind of thing. But I learned from it. In fact, that his mother even now calls me one of her sons, and his sisters treat me as a brother. But it took work. It took a lot of work and a lot of work on all of our parts. So I can't say that I'm the angel.
Right.
That, you know, it was his love for his children to make sure that he showed peace towards me as well.
Wow, I mean that is a tough situation. I know some of y'all listening or maybe watching right now can probably saying like, that is not possible, not in my situation or what have you. I've had this conversation before with other people, and you know, in terms of making sure that both sides of the family, all sides of the family, kind of get along. And to a lot of people, it looks like that's not possible. You know, in that regard. So they may look at your situation and think like, oh, that's an anomaly. That never, you know, that stuff never happens, you know, or whatever. But that's why I want to say you definitely got to get the book.
Yeah.
You know, to find out.
It happens, but it happens with a lot of forgiveness. You have to have a lot of forgiveness. You have to have a lot of love, and it takes, for me. By the way, that my children's father is not I would say a practicing Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be able to love people beyond where they are, and that, I think that was the force behind what changed it for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and so much so, you know, it's just a wonderful thing that, you know, that she was able to at least recognize that, and was, you know, first of all, how does she come to write the foreword to the book, and how did that all come together?
I just asked, I think I asked her and all of my children to. I think she was the only one that stepped up to the plate to do it. And just, I tell you what really changed it. She had a baby early in her college years,
Mm-hmm.
and me and her son just kind of bonded. And I really think the way that she saw that I loved her son made her endear to me.
Gotcha.
You know him.
Yeah.
That's my boy, and he's older now, and he's hard headed like all the rest of the children. But when he was a baby, I used to call him Buddha Woodles. That was my guy, and she saw the love that I had for him, and I think it endeared her heart to me.
All right. Well, you hear it there. We'll be right back on WJHM102jams.com on the radio. All right. We'll be back, y'all, in just 1 second. Peace.